All right, today we're going to flip a common idea about money completely on its head. We're going to talk about moving away from this impossible game of trying to predict the future and instead focus on a much more powerful strategy, building a financial life that's strong enough to handle any future that comes our way.
So let me just start with a question that, might sound a little bit crazy. What if? What if the single biggest waste of your time, financially speaking, is all that effort you spend trying to figure out what's going to happen next? I know it goes against pretty much everything we're taught, right?
Because let's be real, we are swimming in this stuff 24/7. Experts on TV, articles online, all telling us where the market's headed, what interest rates are going to do, which stock is about to pop. It's designed to make you feel like if you're not listening, you're just driving with your eyes closed. It makes you feel vulnerable.
But let's just get honest with ourselves for a second. I mean, really think about it. Think about the times you actually acted on one of those predictions. Moved your money around because of something you heard. How many of those moves actually paid off in a big way? If you're like most people, that scoreboard's probably looking a little empty.
And this gets us to a really powerful concept, which is the illusion of forecasting. See, it's a totally natural human thing to want certainty, to want to know how the story ends. The problem is the financial world knows this, and, well, it kind of exploits that instinct.
So this idea, which the writer Morgan Housel calls the illusion of forecasting, isn't about saying experts are dumb. Not at all. It's about accepting a pretty fundamental truth. The economy is just way too complex and chaotic to be accurately predicted by anyone.
I mean, just think about it for a second. Back in 2007, were the headlines screaming about a housing crash? Nope. In 2019, was anyone's New Year's resolution prepare for a global pandemic? And come on, the whole meme stock thing, was that on anyone's bingo card? The biggest events that moved markets in our lifetime were almost totally invisible beforehand. Sure, a few people guessed right, and we treated them like prophets. But was it skill? Or was it just plain old luck?
And that's the key takeaway right there. The economy isn't some neat machine you can take apart and understand. It's more like a living, breathing organism, driven by billions of people making emotional, often irrational decisions every single second. It's basically chaos in a suit and tie.
So, if we can't predict what's coming, then what are we supposed to do? Well, this is where we make the big mental shift. You stop trying to be a fortune teller, and you start becoming an architect.
And this just lays it out perfectly. The fortune teller is completely obsessed with what might change, and the result? Constant anxiety. The architect, on the other hand, focuses on what won't change. They're not trying to predict the weather for next Tuesday. They're building a house that can handle any storm, any season. And that brings confidence.
And the foundation of that house is built on the one thing we actually can rely on, human nature. It's pretty simple, really. People will always get greedy when markets are soaring, and they'll always get scared when markets are crashing. Panic and euphoria, these are the constants. So your job isn't to predict the next crisis, it's to build a financial plan that can survive your own and everyone else's predictable reactions to that crisis.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Hearing that you can't control the future, it can feel like you've lost control, period. But you're just trying to control the wrong things. The real power, the real control, comes from focusing on your own blueprint, the parts of this whole thing that are 100% in your hands.
And here they are. These are your real tools. You can't control the Federal Reserve or Wall Street, but you absolutely positively control how much you save, how patient you can be, how you choose to react or not react to scary headlines, and, maybe most importantly, how much time you give your money to grow. And these things are so much more powerful, because unlike a lucky guess, these are behaviors that build real wealth day after day, year after year.
And that last point, time. That is the most predictable and powerful force in all of finance. Seriously, compounding doesn't need a crystal ball. It is a slow, boring, totally reliable machine that couldn't care less about next week. It only cares about decades. That is the architect's secret weapon. So the goal really isn't to be right about what happens next month. The real goal is to simply avoid being wrong for the next 20 or 30 years. And the way you do that is by building a resilient mindset.
This right here, this is the architect's mantra. Saying this to yourself isn't a sign of weakness or ignorance. It's a sign of incredible strength. It's a genuine financial superpower that gives you a kind of quiet confidence, a peace of mind that the fortune tellers and predictors will just never, ever have.
Just let that sink in for a second.
All that frantic energy people spend guessing what's next, running on that hamster wheel of headlines and forecasts, it's not a sign of wisdom. It's usually just anxiety wearing a clever disguise. It's a way to cope with uncertainty. But now, you know there's a better way.
So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. Is your financial plan built for a specific forecast, for just one season? Or is it an all-weather structure, designed and built to stand strong for a lifetime? The choice, really, is all yours.